Duke, your dad was an early influence on your life, and not only did he teach you, as you mentioned, to hit left-handed, but he also started calling you Duke. What do you think after all these years was more important?
Well, I think the important thing was that my mother and father encouraged me to participate in athletics. And I had certain obligations that how I dried dishes for my mother every night. I mowed the lawn, did a few things around the house, but I didn't have to get a job. I could participate in the athletics year-round, and that helped me become a Major League Baseball player.
And now growing up in Compton, California, you didn't have Major League Baseball, but you did have Jigger Stats in the Los Angeles Angels.
Well, you mentioned Jigger Stats. He was a center fielder. He played for the Chicago Cubs for a couple of years. And my mom and dad used to take me to Wrigley Field in Los Angeles to watch the Los Angeles Angels, a Pacific Coast League team, play, and Jigger Stats was on that team. And I would watch him play center field. And when San Francisco came to town, the San Francisco Seals, well, Joe DiMaggio was on that team, so I got to see two of the best center fielders ever to play the game.
And now as far as your early high school prep career, you played so many different sports, and early on you had a classmate and a friend, a guy who gave you some good PR, whose initials happened to be PR, Pete Rozelle, who would go on to be the commissioner of the National Football League, and his Uncle Joe was one of your first baseball coaches.
Well, Pete Rozelle and I became very good friends. We went to different junior high schools in Southern California. He went to Linwood Junior High School, and I went to Compton. I went to Enterprise Junior High School, and then we both went to Compton and finished our final 2 years of high school there. And Pete and I became teammates on the basketball team and got to know each other real well. And Pete also was editor of the school paper, and it came out every week, and he would write articles for the sports section. And Pete wrote some real nice things about me, and then he sort of became a PR man for me. He in turn started writing for the Long Beach Press-Telegram, and he wrote several articles about my athletic achievements, and helped me get signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was also in Cooperstown at my induction. We had both commissioners, and they weren't, the NFL commissioner and Bowie Kuhn and Pete were both there for my induction, and you don't get them together too often, but they were there then.
And also growing up in Southern California, you had an idol of sorts and a prep athlete that would later become one of your most revered teammates in Jackie Robinson.
Well, Jackie played at Pasadena Junior College, and he was a football player, a basketball player, a long jumper in track, and also played baseball. And I got to see him perform in all four of those sports. And he did become a sports idol of mine as a youngster. I mean, he was only 7 years older than I was, but at that particular age, why, I was in awe of how he participated on the athletic field. And little did I ever dream that I would be a teammate of his in his first day in the major leagues in 1947, but I used to really enjoy watching him play, and I enjoyed watching him play when I was playing behind him, when I was a center fielder and he was a second baseman. But Jackie was quite an inspiration to all of us because of the way he played the game, and I think he was infectious the way he played the game, and his desire, his competitiveness, and things like that helped us all become better players.
Now, when you signed with the Dodgers, you had a couple of different options. What were your thoughts that you would be wearing the Dodger blue?
Well, I became a Dodger fan when I was in junior high school in 1941. The Dodgers were playing the Yankees in the World Series, and our teachers knew that in order to get the most out of us in class, that if the World Series was on, they'd bring a radio to the class and let us listen to the World Series for those few days that it was on. And we got to listen to the 1941 World Series when I was in junior high. And the Dodgers lost to the Yankees, and they had a couple of players on their team, one by the name of Pete Reese, who led the league in hitting that year, and Wee Reese, who was a young shortstop on the team. And I became a Dodger fan mainly because of those two players. I never saw them play, but there would be a game on radio once in a while, and I listened to the game on radio, and this was way before television. And then, of course, the World Series, why I listened to it on the radio also. And little did I ever dream that I would become a good friend and teammate of Wee Reese and take Pete Reese's place in center field, because Pete ran into a few too many walls, and it shortened his career.
After signing with Brooklyn, your stops took you really all over the country and all over the world. Bear Mountain, New York, very close to Cooperstown, was your first stop. Fort Worth, Texas, Havana, Cuba for spring training. What were your thoughts at such an early age, going to all walks of life to play baseball?
Really never thought too much about where I was going, things like that, but we were very fortunate. We got to Japan several times. We got to South America in spring training one year. We got all over the world basically through baseball, and it was a tremendous experience and a wonderful journey. I reminisce about it quite often.
And even tenure in the Navy, you still found time to play baseball?
Well, basically, we had too many people on the ship that I was stationed on, and as a result, I was on the ship's baseball team. And the Marines, we played a Marine team based right by where we were docked. Our ship was docked, and we played that Marine team, and I had some good days against them, and they asked me if I'd play for them once in a while. And they got me a set of dog tags and a Marine type haircut, and I would play for them once in a while against some service teams. And I really didn't miss all that much. I played every day, just about anyway, while I was over in Guam for 11 months on the submarine tender. And I didn't miss all that much baseball because I was a minor league player when I went into the service. And as a result, I came out and I was ready to play, and I went to the Texas League in Fort Worth. And it took me a little while to get my feet on the ground, and once I did, well, from there I went to spring training the next year with the Dodgers in Havana, Cuba.
And in order to make that team, you had to survive one of Branch Rickey's spring trainings. Describe a little bit of what Mr. Rickey's spring training was like.
Well, spring training was quite a bit different than it is now. It's more like a country club now. You go down and you play baseball for a few hours, you practice baseball for a couple hours, and you rush out the golf course and play 18 holes of golf, and then go to dinner, and then do the same thing the next day. But then we had lectures. Branch Rickey had lectures. He had different programs that you went through, different sliding programs, cutoff play programs. He did all the fundamental programs in spring training, and sometimes after a few years they became a little bit boring, but the one nice thing about it, and with hindsight, we didn't beat ourselves very often. We knew how to play the game, we knew how to make the plays, and there were very few mental mistakes on our ball club.
In '47, you did make the team, and living in Brooklyn, you roomed that year with Gil Hodges, and you talked that the two of you would walk from your Bedford Avenue apartment to the Flatbush ballpark. What were some of those walks like, and what do you recall about Gil, about
well,
those
Gil
times?
and Gil was a third-string catcher, and I was a sixth outfielder on the ball club at the time. And we were just very fortunate to be there. But we would we would watch the games each day. We didn't participate in very many of them because we were a little bit inexperienced at the time. And I know that Branch Rickey called us into his office one day, Gil and I, and we went into his office together, and he says, in a couple of years, you guys are going to be the two leading home run hitters on this ball club, and you're going to be the guts of this ball club. And Gil and I walked out of the office after a nice talk from Mr. Rickey and looked at each other and said, well, how come we're not playing now? But we knew why we weren't playing, because we needed more experience. But they moved Gil to first base, and he became the best first baseman I've ever seen. There's been a lot of them that were good that I saw, but Gil was the best I've ever seen, and I still can't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame, but I voted for him anyway. But unfortunately, he didn't get quite enough votes. I think he was 8 short this year. And I don't know why my peers haven't voted him in, but hopefully they will next time.
Also, that 1947, you not only made your big league appearance, but you married your lovely wife Bev that same October.
Right, in October, Bev and I were married out in California, and her first year was we went to Brooklyn. We were with the Dodgers for a short while. We had spring training in the Dominican Republic in '48, and then we were in Brooklyn for a month, and then they sent us to Montreal for a couple of months. And I got the final tune-up before I became a regular on the Brooklyn Dodgers in Montreal. And I came back in August of that year and was a regular center fielder from then on.